Hi, thanks for being here. As everyone's coming in, and before we get started, I will just quickly introduce myself. I am hosting today's event. I am Callie O'Connor. I'm a career break and remote work enthusiast. I am the host of the Travel Possibilities podcast, and I'm a member of the Nomadic Network in Boston. And so before we get started, if you want to find the chat and introduce yourselves as well, let us know where you're calling in from. Let us know how many Nomadic Network events you've been to previously. And today we're talking about networking. So let us know if you work on the corporate side or if you work for yourself, freelance, or your own business.
I'm excited to get to know you all in the next hour here and learn a little bit more about you in the chat.
Yeah. So while you're going to the chat, introducing yourself, also make sure it's set so everyone can see your messages. Cool. I'm going to try to share my screen, do a little intro before we get to the main event. Oh, good. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for being here. Welcome to the Nomadic Network. And for those of you who are new, the Nomadic Network is a global community of travel enthusiasts. We support one another, inspire one another to travel better, cheaper, and longer. We started at the end of 2019 with the plan of hosting in-person meetups in 22 different cities around the world to bring travelers together, meet each other, learn from each other, etc. And everyone knows what happened in 2020. So right now we offer 3 types of events: travel presentations like this one, regional in-person events, meetups to connect you with other travel enthusiasts, and travel book clubs online where we invite authors of the books to join. So before we start today's talk, just a couple of housekeeping things, not events. Feel free to turn on your video camera, but keep your microphone off. We love seeing your faces during the presentations. In fact, it really helps. It's exciting. But just to make sure there's no background noise, please keep yourself muted. Secondly, don't forget to use the chat to connect throughout the presentation. This presentation is all about networking. I'm not even changing the slides. Here we go. Yeah, so this presentation is all about networking, so get to know each other. If you have any questions along the way, we are going to answer them at the end. I'm going to be monitoring the chat. So if you have a question, write question in all caps before you type your question so I can easily pick them out and save them and ask them to Nicole at the end. And our speakers are doing this out of the kindness of their hearts. We are so thankful for their time, so be sure to follow Nicole and support her in any way possible because we're so thankful for her being here. So let's have fun. Let's enjoy this time together. And now I'm going to stop sharing. Nicole's going to pull up her presentation and I'm going to introduce her.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So while she's doing that, Nicole Rosania, which rhymes with lasagna, was on a school trip in Italy when at 15 years old, she first told herself that one day she'd get paid to see the world. Less than 4 years later, Nicole was sent to the Dominican Republic as a summer intern to assist a professional video team with a content shoot and got paid to do it. Since then, she's held numerous positions at global organizations such as EF Education First and Save the Children, created and published a travel podcast and blog, scaled her website from 0 to over 13,000 unique monthly visitors, and collaborated with countless brands, hotels, and tourism boards around the world on her Instagram as a small creator. So now Nicole has been to more than 40 countries and most of the US states and graduated with a communications degree in 2020 from Fairfield University. Nicole attended the College of Charleston to pursue her MBA in marketing and now works her dream job as the content and social media manager for EF Education First in their gap year product. And so, yeah, now she gets paid to see the world and she's going to tell us all about it. So without further ado, Nicole, over to you.
Awesome. Can you see my screen? Yeah. Okay, great. All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining tonight. It really means a lot that you all came out to listen. I really hope that my experiences I've had really benefit you tonight and that you walk away with learning something new. Before I even get into my first slide, I just want to give a little bit of background that I do work full-time for a corporate job, but also have been freelancing now for a few years. So whether you are coming from the corporate side or you do freelance work and have your own clients, I really hope you learn something new tonight. So here we have the agenda for what we're going to cover. So first, we're going to go over a little bit more background information, and then I'm going to share some tools for networking. So that way you can all build your own toolkit to go out and network, again, whether it's in the corporate world or with future clients. I can help you all determine your strengths, how to leverage your past experiences, how to craft the perfect pitch, both in an email, if you're looking to email pitch someone, or just extemporaneously say an elevator pitch. I'll help you nail that down. We're going to go over how to follow up like a pro. I'm going to share a story or two. And then lastly, we'll end with a Q&A. So fully loaded 30 minutes we're about to have here. I hope you all walk away learning something about networking. And on top of that, I have a bunch of fun travel photos throughout my presentation, and I included the exact location of where those were shot. I do work in content creation after all, so feel free to screenshot, or I can send this to you afterwards if you're looking for some photo inspo in addition to networking tips. All right, so just a little bit about me and why I feel like I'm qualified to give this presentation and why I'm so glad you're all here today. So I am only 24 years old. I am quite young, but I have been working towards this dream and doing things like this since I was 15 years old. I went to Italy for the first time on an educational school trip. And that was the first
Nicole,
impactful.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Your slide hasn't switched over.
Oh, weird. Still no?
Still no.
It's supposed to be the About Me page. You don't see that?
We're on the front page, the power of networking.
Oh. Let me try.
And the power of networking is not fully displayed either.
Can you see this?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yes.
See this?
About me. Yep.
Okay. Can you see an agenda page?
No.
No? Can you see an About Me page?
Yes.
We'll stick here. I may have to manually change them, and that's okay.
Okay, great.
All right,
Thank you.
No, thank you so much. All right, so picking up where I left off, basically I had my first impactful travel experience as a teenager, and I realized on that tour that I wanted to work in the travel industry, and I caught the travel bug, as I'm sure a lot of us did on our first big trip out of the country. I now work full-time, as I mentioned, in a corporate job as a content and social media manager at EF, which is the world's largest international education company. So I did achieve one of my goals of working in the travel industry, and I hope to help you all do the same today. And then on the personal front, I started a travel blog when I studied abroad in Florence, Italy at the age of 19. I started it just as a hobby. My first subscriber was my grandma, and I grew that into a business, and I'm going to cover how I did that with you all today. And I went on to study abroad for a second semester in Sydney, Australia, and have traveled quite a bit ever since. In COVID times, international travel came to a halt. And at this point, I was really starting to think about how I can transform content creation into a business. So I'm sure we all remember this time, domestic travel really became super popular here in the US. Visits to national parks skyrocketed. It was impossible to get a rental car. Everyone was trying to be out and about in nature. So I started a 50 states challenge. So although my blog is called the Abroad blog, I pivoted from international travel to really covering a lot of the US. And fun fact, I have 4 states left, and I'm finishing hopefully this summer. I have a trip booked to state number 47 next month. So updates to come with that. I also started a podcast just as like an extension of my blog for additional travel tips during this time. I have my MBA in marketing, and I'm so glad you all joined today because I'm going to be able to share the inside scoop of some professional development tips that I learned last year in my MBA program with you all today. I did my MBA down in Charleston, so I still split my time between here and Boston. And lastly, the reason why you're all here today is I really started treating my blog like a business about 2 years ago, and I've landed close to 50 collaborations since. So I'm hoping I can help you all do the same. All right, now I'm going to try to change slides. Can you see this? Or is it still the About Me?
It's still on About Me.
I don't know why it's doing that. That's not good. Can you see it now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just going to manually do that. All right, so these are a few of the collaborations I've had through my social media and blog, and I've gone all these through just simply networking, and I'm going to share some inside tips with you all today. So you can see on the top left here, I've worked with a few different hotels. I worked with my first airline last month, which is super exciting. Celebrity Cruises is definitely my largest collaboration to date. I have a really fun story to share about that at the end. And again, I hope today you walk away with some tips on how you can network and potentially land collaborations like this of your own, or just continue to find success in your career, whatever that may be. All right, and now to manually go to the next slide. I don't know why this is not working, but here we are. All righty, so here's some tools for effective networking. And I'm going to go into each of these components in detail. So, and I want this to apply to all you, both corporate and freelance. So I'm going to make sure to cover both sides of the coin, if you will. So on the top left here, you can see what a media kit looks like. I'm actually going to show you a breakdown of what certain pages of mine looks like, but it's very important when you're networking to have a media kit or a portfolio, which is basically a creative resume. So anyone here who works a corporate job, I'm sure you have a resume saved to your desktop. That's hugely important. On the bottom here is a little snippet of an email pitch. I'm going to show you the full thing in a slide or two, so don't worry if you can't read that. That was a little teaser on purpose. But yeah, being able to talk about yourself, I think, is really important for interviews, or if you're looking to pitch yourself to brands, or even just day to day. Honestly, I found that it's a pretty important skill to be able to have. And on the right there, that is something that's not tangible, but it's confidence. Having a good smile and being able to be bold and feel proud of the work you've done is definitely important, no matter where you are. All right, and now to go to the next slide. Here we are, present. Dun, dun, dun. All right, this is what my media kit looks like. It's not the full thing, it's a small deck. Here are just 3 slides, but I just wanted to share this with all of you. So basically, a media kit is your own personal creative resume in PDF format. So if you think about a corporate job, you're applying for jobs, you submit a resume and a cover letter. For creative opportunities, you should have a media kit and a portfolio that you're submitting with previous examples. They're very parallel. If you want to straddle both worlds, I recommend just keeping all of this in a toolkit. And this is what your media kit should entail. So these are some of the components of it. On the top left here, you can see just like a stats.
Nicole, I'm sorry to interrupt again. So the photos disappeared. So we see the slide, but we're not seeing the photos that you're referring to.
All right, let me try again here. This is just the PDF version of it, but can you all see this? I'm just going to click through this.
Yeah.
Okay, that probably just fixed things.
Yay! Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for being patient. Thanks, Nicole, for being a trooper.
Thank you, everyone. I'm so sorry about that. I was trying to do all these fancy animations, and I think I should just stick to my tried and true here, PDF format. And speaking of PDFs, that's exactly what this is. So it's a creative resume. What I was about to say is you want to focus on stats. And if you're a small creator, or if you're someone just getting started in the creative freelance world, definitely just focus on your most impressive attributes. So for example, impressions tend to be pretty high. If you have an engagement rate, that is much more impressive to brands or clients than just listing like a follower account, for example. So I would definitely focus on that. And then on the right here is some packages. I recommend offering packages. You can bundle your work, whether you have clients and you're looking to do social media work, or you want to do your own work where you're posting on your own social media. I would offer packages. It's a good way to make more money if you bundle things together. And here's just an example of like a package I would offer, which is like a blog post, and then also cross-promoting that blog post on Pinterest. I wrote in parentheses here on the bottom right to not include any rates. And this is like negotiation 101. It has to do with salary negotiation too. Don't disclose your number first. Never reveal your number first. Same goes with rates, because if you offer to a brand, I can do this, this, and this for this rate, they may have paid you double, and you would have just locked yourself in to that rate that you just mentioned, especially if it's in writing. So I recommend not sharing any rates at all. Again, on the corporate side, this has to do with salary negotiation. On the freelance side, I would just say, what is your marketing budget for this collaboration? and let them give you a number. It could be double than what you were hoping to make. You never know. Something else super important to include in a media kit or just any sort of portfolio is a list of previous collaborations. So that's what I have here. And again, ideally, this would be a clickable PDF. So mine is, I'm not going to click through here because we've already had enough tech difficulties today, but these would click into the actual posts that either the brand has posted or I have posted that are sponsored. And it's just a good way for people to see examples of your previous work, which most employers or clients will want to see. And then the last two pages to include in a media kit is an About Me page and a contact page. So altogether, my media kit is a presentation. I did make it on Canva, and it includes about 5 or 6 slides. I've also seen people do it as like 1-sliders, but yeah, hopefully that's something that you all can have fun making after this call and keep in your toolkit for future use. Okay, did we go to the next slide? Yay, okay. So now you know a little bit about media kits. That is the first thing you'll want to keep in your toolkit. Now we're going to talk about the art of pitching and how to create a pitch. So you may be wondering, why is this a whole slide on public speaking? I did not come here to learn about public speaking. I came here to learn about networking. But guess what? Public speaking is a very essential part of effective networking. And when you think public speaking, you may think speaking to a few hundred people, large audience. And while that is the case, public speaking is just being able to effectively speak to one other individual about yourself, being bold, being confident, and being sincere. So I think it's important that you all practice this and get comfortable with it. It really is a key to networking, because networking, after all, is gaining connections and building relationships. And you do that for the most part through communicating verbally with someone. So just a few public speaking tips here. Again, this could be a whole separate presentation, so I'm really just trying to give you the bullets today, but I love this. I learned this in my MBA when we had to get in front of our classroom and give an elevator pitch to like 50 plus people on the spot. It was terrifying, but I took away with me, and I'm going to share it with you all today, the 7 Ps, which is when you're speaking, make sure you are pronunciating, you're watching your pace, you're pausing. I have to remind myself that one. Pack the punch, have some power, be passionate, and focus on your posture. I also recommend practicing your pitch quite a bit. You don't want to sound rehearsed at all. It's important to be sincere, but I do think you can be prepared. I really practiced this presentation a lot, but hopefully it's not coming across rehearsed. I hope it's sounding sincere. I'm really glad you're all here. And also it's important to maintain eye contact and smile. Okay, now for the pitch. This slide may look a little overwhelming, but I'm going to break it down for you all. So when you think of an elevator pitch, it's basically what I have written here on the left, which is it's brief, it's less than 30 seconds, and it's just a way to introduce yourself, get a key point or two across that you want people to remember, and it's how you make a connection. Fun fact, it's called an elevator pitch because the amount of time you say it is about the amount of time that you spend riding an elevator. So like, you got to be quick. You never know who you're going to meet. And like I mentioned in the last slide, I recommend getting really comfortable with your pitch and keeping it in your back pocket, because you never know when you may have to use it. I've used mine a few dozen times in the past year. I can share a version of it right now. It's, hi, I'm Nicole. I'm based in Charleston, South Carolina. I work as a content and social media manager at EF Education First. In my free time, I love writing for my travel blog, and I look forward to working with your brand and having aligned goals, something like that. So here are a few components of the elevator pitch and how to craft one of your own. So starting on the left here, the first thing you'll really want to think about are your strengths. Now, maybe you've had a friend tell you that, you're really great at X, Y, and Z, or you just feel like you have like a natural talent. Like, if you have that, good for you. That's an easy starting place. For a lot of us, we're going to have to spend some time reflecting on this. And just start with your interests. Think, when you were younger, what sort of activities were you drawn to? What extracurriculars did you enjoy doing? Or when you were in college, what courses were you gravitated towards? Start with your interests, and I would also hone in on your passions. That is kind of like low-hanging fruit. If you're very passionate about certain subjects, odds are you're more willing to put in the work to become good at them. meaning it can become a strength. See that pipeline there, passion to strength. So focus on your passions. Think about soft skills that you have, hard skills that you can build through practice. And then of course, there's like online quizzes you can take where you can determine your strengths and use those as like buzzwords, for example. Like mine on the Strengths Finder quiz has always been communication. So I've really tried to tap into that, for example, tonight. So yeah, first you'll want to think through your strengths. And again, just remember your interests and what are you passionate about. Next comes work experience. Think about what previous experiences that you've had that could qualify you for this role or opportunity. And don't think of just job experience. I am quite young. I haven't had a lot of jobs yet in my career, but I have done, a lot of different opportunities, and I've been an intern and a volunteer, and I've really built on that experience in my resume and whatnot. So just take a moment and reflect on all the things that you've done that relate to the thing that you're trying to do. That makes sense. And the third component here of a pitch that's going to be the most important, as you'll see in the next slide, is your unique selling proposition. So basically what this is, it's also known as a unique value proposition. This is like a key marketing term, and it's basically how your brand differs from other competitors, or how, ideally you are superior to other competitors and what you offer. So in this case, your brand, again, whether you work corporate or you work freelance, is you. So you'll just want to pause for a second and think, what can I offer? What can I do for you that others can't? That is going to pack the punch. On my previous slide, I talked about the punch. That was the punch. And basically, we're going to combine all these things to form a pitch. And this is an example of a pitch. So this is for my content creators out there. I can definitely send this to you afterwards, so don't feel like you need to screenshot this or write this down, but this is the exact email pitch that I have sent to hotels, airlines, tourism boards where I've landed collaborations. And there's a few key components here that I think are important to include and to call out. The first here is the subject line. I say media request. That immediately grabs people's attention. Most of the time I'm emailing a PR pro or someone in marketing, and that right there not only sounds formal, but it's like, what's this? That's the purpose of a subject line, is to get them to click in. And then here at the top, we have the what, or like the like your ask, basically. So I think it is important to put this right at the top, because for example, in a hotel, they may just straight up not have availability during your travel period. So if you're trying to make sure you can get a comp stay, make sure you right off the bat ask for what dates and what you're looking for. And then the punch really comes in with the so what. So this is your unique selling proposition. This is the value that you offer, is basically like why you should work with me. Keep it brief. Definitely add some examples here. I linked to my blog and my Instagram, and just call out those most important stats from your media kit. So for example, I say like my engagement rate is high, because even though my audience is quite small, like they are highly engaged, just an example. And then at the end here is kind of like the now what, which is the follow-up. I recommend attaching your media kit or a resume to all these emails, or even a portfolio, just so that people can click through what you can offer. This is also my branded email signature. It was free to make. I'm happy to go over another time how to make that. But as you can see, it matches my presentation. It's really important to just build a brand. Being consistent is one of the keys to success here as well. All right, this is going to be the last tactical slide, and then I would love to share a story or two with you all before we get into a Q&A. So here are just a few notes on how to follow up. And I broke it down by what I think is appropriate in corporate versus pitching. So in corporate, I'm sure we've heard this before, but handwritten letters really go a long way. Sending thank you notes. And it's key to do this within 24 hours. Ideally, you would do an email and then a thank you note later on. And this just goes for following up in general, but make sure to call out something that was memorable to you or a takeaway, and just remind them why you're a good fit and why you're excited about the opportunity. With pitching, I think a lot of that is the same. You can follow up on email a few days after the fact, or you can even call. It's a little more intimidating, but this is where your elevator pitch comes in handy, and you're not actually looking at anyone, so you can even write it down. But I have straight up called hotel front desk before and been like, hi, I'm Nicole, I'm a blogger, I'm hoping to travel in the next week or two. Here, may I speak to a sales or marketing contact? And they'll transfer me, and then I have to pitch them on the phone. But honestly, that's a good way to connect directly with a human. So I hope you all add that one to your toolkit if you're looking to get into the content creation world. And then the last thing, and probably the most important thing about this slide, is keeping your email inbox organized. So the way I do this is by keeping my collaborations organized in 3 folders. I have a previous collabs, current collabs, and future collabs. The previous collabs are people who I've already worked with. I just keep those chains for record, or if I ever want to work with them again, it's really easy to just follow up directly there. They'll remember you because of the email chain. So don't delete anything, just kind of store it away. The current collabs are people who I am currently communicating with. I recommend you do this just to stay organized and keep your priorities in order. And then the future collabs, this is a fun one. If you've ever applied for a job or have reached out to a client for an opportunity and they're like, yes, but not now, do not delete those. Those could be potential, that could be potential work, those could be potential dollars a few months down the road. So what I do is I put that all in a future collabs email folder, and I will email them back in a few months. That's exactly what I did with a story I'm about to share with you all. But just a reminder there, it may take several follow-ups to actually hear back. Be persistent, be kind, don't be annoying, but be persistent. All right, I'm gonna share 2 really quick stories, and then we can hop into a Q&A. So I just left you all with a bunch of tips about physical things you should have in your toolkit. So like a media kit, a resume, your pitch, a pitch email template even, and then more non-tangible things such as being confident, being bold, practicing, getting more comfortable with it. And now I'm just going to share 2 quick stories of how I've applied those things into my life and I've gotten to where I am today. Keep in mind, I'm still quite young, so I hope I continue to use these things. But I think this is a fun story and I would love to share it with you all. So basically, I mentioned that I left the country to Italy for the first time when I was 15 years old on an educational tour, and that made me want to work in the travel industry and study abroad, and it gave me Wanderlust. And the company I traveled with was actually EF, which is my current employer. So on the far left there is a photo of me in 2014 in Italy, all excited. I remember asking someone like, wow, like you can do this for work? Like, this is amazing. And I basically left that tour. I was super young, super broke, but pretty motivated. When I went through the college application process, I remember looking into schools that had study abroad programs because I knew it was something I wanted to do, and specifically Italy. So fast forward a few years, I do study abroad in Florence, Italy, and that confirms my love for travel, and also that I don't just want to do it for fun. I want to make money from it. I want a career from this. I want to do it all day, every day if I could, or at least talk about it with people. So I came home from study abroad feeling super motivated, and I just resumed my part-time job at a local country club because I needed money. And basically I saw one of the guests at the country club had an EF phone wallet. And remembering the experience that I had with EF years prior and the fact that I basically just study abroad because EF, I just took a deep breath and I was bold and I just went up to this person. I was like, do you work at EF by chance? And she was like, I do. And I was just like, hi, I'm Nicole. I just got back from Italy because of EF. I love your company. I would love to work for you. And she was probably like, who the heck is this? But I think she saw that I was passionate, I was bold, I was vulnerable, and she gave me her email on a napkin. And I went home that night and I probably sent her the worst email she's ever received. It was like a horrible 2-page resume. The only thing I had on it was that I was a dog walker. I had no experience, but I had the passion and the willingness to learn. And that must have been enough because I got an internship at EF. And this photo here is from my summer internship. I was actually able to go to the Dominican Republic with our students, this time as an intern, not as a student traveler, and be on the ground there. I could share a million more photos. I'm not going to, but I basically ended up interning for EF a few more times because of this. And if we fast forward to present day, I was planning on working for EF right after college, but I graduated in 2020, so that didn't work as planned. A lot of companies were on a hiring freeze. So I paused, and instead of giving up on my dreams, I thought, what can I do to get more experience to make myself a better applicant for when the time is right? And that's how I got into my blog and freelancing and ultimately got my MBA. And 1 year ago today, the person whose phone case I saw on that table all those years ago actually reached out and said, we have an opening for a full-time position on the marketing team. Are you interested? And here I am. So that photo on the right is a recent work trip. Actually, I was able to go to France and see our students on the ground. So it's kind of fun. On the left there, I am the student. In the middle, I'm the intern. And now I'm the full-time employee. And I'm very grateful for my job. I love it so much. All right, that was long-winded. I have one more story and it's shorter. This is for all my freelancers out there. This is how to tap into networking. So if there's ever networking events in your city, such as Nomadic network events, I highly recommend going and finding like-minded travelers. That's exactly what I did about a year ago. I went to the Travel and Adventure Show, which is a travel conference. I assume you're all here because you love to travel. So I highly recommend attending one of these. They're in cities all around the US. They're super fun. It's just different booths of cruise lines, hotels, tourism boards, and you just get to chat with people and like get brochures and dream about future trips. It's really fun. So I went to this, of course, with the fun mindset, but also thinking business, thinking strategic. I had my little business cards with me, my elevator pitch ready to go. And I was going table to table, introducing myself and just learning about opportunities and basically saying like, I have a travel blog. If you're ever looking for promotion, like I would love to work with you. So that's exactly what happened here. I was chatting with, I think it was the Royal Caribbean cruise table. And I was like really trying to like pitch myself. Like I really wanted to work with the cruise line and they were not having it. But this sweet man, Bill, comes around the corner. He's probably like 70 years old. Bill owns a cruise travel agency. So he works with all the cruise lines, really small company. And he comes over and he's like, do you do advertising? And I was like, well, Bill, I get like, yeah, but like, I don't know if you understand how like sponsored content works and like the influencer world, but like, yes, I do advertising. And he basically gave me his card and he's like, shoot me an email, like I'm interested. So I go home the next day and I would view any networking event ever, like an interview, I would send that follow-up email within 24 hours. That's what I did. I went home the next day, I went to a coffee shop, and anyone I met, I just sent an email like, it was so nice meeting you. I'm very interested in partnering. Here's my information again. And of course, a lot of people won't get back to you, but it's still worth trying. And in this case, Bill got back to me and was like, I'm actually about to leave for Europe for 2 months. Like now it's not a good time, but like reach out later this year. So I slid that into my future collabs inbox. Make sure you do that. And I kind of forgot about it, to be honest. Life went ahead. I had to finish grad school. I was super busy. And I'm clicking through this future collabs inbox one day. And I'm just like remembering his email. I'm like, oh, wow, it's been like 3 months. Let me take 5 seconds of my life right now and respond, hey, Bill, hope Europe's well, just following up here. It's 5 seconds of your life. You barely lift a finger. It's super easy. Drop an email. You never know what may happen. Bill gets back and he's like, we would love to work with you. What can we get from you in terms of promotion for a comped Mediterranean cruise for 2? My jaw literally dropped. I was like, after I was done screaming, crying, I was like, well, Bill, you can get this. I ended up writing a bunch of blog posts for his company, doing some sponsored posts. I gave him a package of like 30 high quality photos that he could use for his website and everything. And the best part of it all, the sweet story, is my younger sister, never got to study abroad in college because of COVID. And I was able to surprise her with this on her graduation day. She was my +1. And we'll be talking about it until we're 100 years old. All because I took 5 seconds to follow up in that email that I kept. I didn't delete it. So that was a lot. I feel like I've been talking for a while. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but we are at the end of my presentation. And I would love to take any questions that you all have.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Nicole. That was super informative. I mean, I forgot all about the technical difficulties. No worries there. So we already have some questions. If you guys are thinking of any questions, or if some of these questions prompt new questions, throw them in the chat. I will ask them to Nicole. Don't forget to write question in front of your question just for easy access, and we'll just dive in. So first question about your media kit. So is it a PDF or a web page? And like, what does it mean to be clickable?
That's a good question. So clickable would mean that you're sent this document and it clicks off into the actual live piece of content somewhere. So in my case, it's like a live blog post on my site, or like the actual Instagram post that I've done for a brand before. I do have a PDF. People have made like Wix sites before. You don't have to make a whole website. It can literally be a Google Drive folder that you like plug examples into of things that you've done. And then when you're applying for opportunities, both corporate and freelance, just link off to that Google Drive folder. It can be as simple as that. Just have some examples living, give them a home. Mine, I made a pretty home. I love Canva, aside from the tech difficulties tonight. But yeah, hopefully that helps.
Okay, awesome. And I want to interject because a couple of people have asked about receiving a copy of the recording and the slides. So if you would like a copy of today's presentation, connect with Nicole on Instagram, follow her, send her a DM, and she will connect you with today's presentation. Alrighty. Next question. What do you recommend for on your slide where you said, so what, like in the email, for the bloggers who are just starting out? For example, if someone doesn't have 1 million impressions yet.
That's a good one. I'm trying to think because I was totally there. Like it takes a while to build. First of all, don't be afraid to pitch. I just want to like say that, like, even if you are so small, I've seen people get collaborations with like only a little bit of experience, or, you know, less than 1,000 subscribers, followers, whatever it may be. Like, just shoot your shot. Brands need UGC. I would know that. I work on a corporate marketing team. Like, we need customers, students, people enjoying our product. Like, every marketing team needs that. So the way they get that is from working with you. Even if you don't get paid, you are building up experience. So with that being said, I would just try to think back to like a unique selling proposition over the work experience. So in my so what, I do kind of lean on experiences that I have and like certain stats. But if I were you, I would just kind of share maybe a few things that make you unique, or like what you can offer. Like, how is your brand different from other people's? Maybe you make a certain type of video that other people don't really know how to make, or you have like a very unique niche. Like, if anyone here only covers train travel content, for example, definitely lean into that. Just try to think outside the box, like what really sets you apart and what can you offer this brand?
Awesome. All right, next question. How far in advance would you recommend reaching out? Is it better to reach out last minute or far in advance?
So I've done both. I mean, in an ideal world, if you have a trip coming up and you know that you would like to work with a hotel to have it comped, or, you know, pre-plan, I would be pitching like months in advance just to have it locked in. And in case it's a no, I could then hit another 20 hotels with the same email, and just kind of build in that time. But I've also pitched really last minute, where it's like I have a trip coming up and I'm just kind of shooting my shot to see if I can land anything. And for that, I call. So if you are last minute, like the week of, I would try calling. Again, it's going to be nerve-wracking when you have to give that elevator pitch for the first time, but have some notes in front of you. Just give it your shot. Worst comes to worst, you never hear or see them again. And if you have more time, I recommend being a little strategic with emails and, you know, doing like a tier 1 research of all the boutique hotels in the area and sending pitches to those. And if you get some no's, look up some more, send some more. I've probably sent 50 for one trip and got like 1 yes. So it may take some time, but it's worth it if you can stay for free.
Fantastic. How do you decide what is good payment for content creation?
That's a really good question. And I wish there was a book about this. There is no rule book. I do think influencers and content creators are becoming a little more transparent about this, which is really important. I also think like salary transparency is huge if you work a similar role as like, maybe not friends, but like someone, you know, just kind of being open about it so that you can leverage that. It really just depends on your engagement rate, I would say. It's not even followers, it's how engaged your audience is, how likely they are to convert. That's like what the brand would be willing to pay. I mean, my very first collaboration ever was a free map. I was thrilled about it. I got a free map that was probably like worth $5, but it was on my wall with pride. And I've definitely worked my way up where I've been able to land, pretty significant collaborations or, Mediterranean cruise. I don't even know how much that costs, but like that was by far the big like ticket price there. So yeah, like I said, always have them share their numbers first. The way I would word that, and I'm happy to like write this down, is what is your marketing budget for this collaboration? And just ask them that, and then they're forced to give you a number. And who knows, maybe that number is fantastic. If it's not, just know it's a starting point. You can probably negotiate from there.
Fantastic. So you mentioned attending like a convention and whatnot, but what are other great ways to find people to network with?
Ooh, that's fun. I love LinkedIn. Hopefully a bunch of you are on LinkedIn. Sending a LinkedIn message and setting up coffee chats, I think is huge. And just like finding like-minded people. I mean, the fact that you're all here in this network is such a fantastic starting point. I saw at one point there was like 50 of you tuned in tonight. Like, I would love to grab coffee with every single one of you and just like hear your life story. Like, that is networking right there. It's just being personable. So yeah, I would recommend tapping into like travel networks, honestly, even just like Facebook groups. I love LinkedIn. And then just keep an eye out for events. Like in college, I was just so passionate about travel. I wanted to get out of the classroom. I would look up like travel conference near me, and just like find events where I could just be with other people to talk about places or flights or trains, whatever it may be.
Awesome. Okay, so regarding pitching for a specific trip, would you pitch a handful of hotels at the same time, or do you do one and wait for a response and then do others?
That's a really great question. So I would do it all at once. So that email template that I had in my presentation, hopefully it's one of the images you all saw. If not, I'll share it with you after. But it's called an email template for a reason. I will copy paste that to brands and just customize it. So swapping out the subject line, of course, swapping out like the name of the hotel, maybe changing up some deliverables or like the offer a little bit. But I really do use that as a template. I actually have it saved in my Gmail under templates. So that way, when I go to pitch a hotel, I can just pull it right up. And yeah, to be transparent, like if I know I would like to get something covered, or if I'm really looking for a collaboration, I will pitch a lot. Like I will do quite a bit of research and send out 15, 20 emails at the same time, knowing that most will be no's.
And have you ever faced a situation where you've gotten multiple responses and had to turn someone down?
Yes, for the first time, like last month. It was thrilling. It was Martin Luther King weekend, and I have two close friends here in Charleston. We just wanted to get away for a night. It's a long weekend. We had a day off. And being based in Charleston, I wanted to visit some nearby cities. So I pitched hotels in Savannah, Myrtle Beach, Greenville, South Carolina, and got yeses from all three. So I sat my friends down. I was like, where do you want to go? That was like that was a big moment. That has not happened in the past 2 years. That is rare. Warning you all now. But I sent multiple emails in each city, so I guess the odds that one said yes in each isn't crazy.
And what was the process like when you had to turn them down?
So I try not to like permanently say no to anything. I feel like that's also like a key to networking. It's just like keeping people close to you, because like you never know what may come up or like, where you'll be. And that's what I did with these other two. I basically said like, actually like something came up when I'm unable to make it this weekend, but I'd love to work with you in a month or two. How about this date? And then one actually said like, yeah, that's better. So I'm actually working with that, like another one in April, which is exciting. So I would, I think the Gmail like inbox sorting has to be like one of the best tips. I don't know where I picked that from, but I've been doing that for years. So keep people like organized in email. You may want to reach back out or circle back, as they say in corporate America, later on.
Perfect. Yeah, way to work the circle back in there. Perfect. So when you pitch via email, do you email a hotel location or manager, or do you find a marketing contact in the brand?
It's a little bit of both. So how you would go about this is you go on the hotel's website and you find the contact us page, and you got to do some sleuthing. There's usually, if it's a small boutique hotel, it's usually just info@thehotel.com or like front desk at, and I'll just send it to them, and then it's up to them to distribute it if it goes somewhere else. But that contact us page usually has like a PR contact or a media contact. So that's easy. If it's listed there and you can just send it, that's great. I've had to do quite a bit of research where I'm looking at the hotel on LinkedIn and I'm looking like Marriott marketing and I'm like finding the literal person on LinkedIn. I feel like a lot of bloggers like gatekeep their contacts because it is like quite a bit of work to find them and then build that relationship. But I've done like contact swapping with friends where it's like I have a hotel contact and someone else has one, it will give it to each other. If anyone wants to do that, I'm happy to. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just making sure. Yeah. So usually a hotel website will list the contact, and it is usually like a PR company that reps the hotel. Or if it's small, it's just like the general manager. And yeah.
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit about handling rejection, especially when you first started, and what that process has been like for you?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to do that. Specifically with my corporate job, EF can be quite competitive to get into, and especially going through the hiring rounds during the pandemic, I heard a lot of no's. It took me quite a bit of time, despite my intern experience, to actually have this full-time job now. And it's really easy to be really upset over it. I mean, it's just natural. Like I was kind of down for a few days, but I think it's important to pick yourself back up and stay motivated and like remember why you started. I saw this thing one time that's like goals are just dreams with a deadline, meaning like you have your dream and then the goal is like the action step and like the thing you're trying to do to achieve it. So if you want something that badly, and this is where like the passion comes into it, you got to try to pick yourself back up and find a plan B. So for example, corporate America did not work out for me in 2020. It probably didn't work out for a lot of people. So I had to pause and be like, shoot, like I need to make money. I need experience. I'm young. What can I do? And I ended up finding freelance work by going a bunch of different routes. And once you have one gig, you can build up clients. So I did that. And I went back to school. But yeah, rejection's really hard. You definitely take the blow, but instead of letting the blow take you down, I think you just need to pause and pivot.
Awesome. All right, here's another question. Why would big hotels and cruise lines want to pay us to promote their business on a small network?
Yeah, that is a great question. So fully transparent, like I don't always get paid. It kind of depends on the offer. Like if I'm going on a comped cruise, I would never ask for money. Like I'm sure big creators do, but I'm set with the cruise. Like that is a huge win in my opinion. So it is harder to get money from these large hotels and name brands. Honestly, it's hard to even work with them. Like why does Marriott need promotion when everyone knows about Marriott? So I guess that's a tip that I didn't share in my presentation, but go for the smaller brands. Like if you're first starting out and you have a trip coming up to Austin, Texas, look up Austin boutique hotels and you'll find the list of kind of mom and pop owned inns. And I would pitch them. They really need the promotion and they're more likely to work with you. So I would start there. A lot of times they do have money to pay you. I will say the bigger players have more of a budget, so they could probably pay more, but it is hard when you're a small creator to really prove your value. It is. That's where you gotta think like what you can offer and try to spin up a package that would be worthwhile to them.
Awesome. All right. If anyone has any other questions, now is the time to put them in the chat box. And if not, I'm going to share my screen once more to do a couple final announcements. Oh, we have one more. I see you, Sharon. We have another question coming. Okay. How did you go about collaborating with Allegiant Airline and what did you receive?
That is a fun story. I'll keep really short. They have like a influencer or like a content creator program or something. I forget what it's called, but I saw like a friend of mine did it. So I did some research, found the contact, pitched them. I was like, my friend did this. That's networking, to plug people left and right. I was like, my friend worked with you. I would love to as well. And they actually offered me an opportunity, but I was in grad school at the time. I just could not make it work. I couldn't get away for the weekend. So kept them in that future collabs inbox. And basically I reached out to them every month after the fact when I was free. I was like, I'm done with grad school now. I would really love to work with you. I think it's a great fit. And I wouldn't use the word harass, but I was definitely persistent with following up. And they ended up having like the right opportunity for me at a good time a few months later. So I was able to work with them, and Allegiant is really fantastic. They are a budget airline, but they offer travel packages. So if you book with Allegiant just as a customer, they can do rental car, hotel, and flight. So full transparency, that's what that collaboration looked like. It was the flights, the rental car, the hotel, and even a stipend for activities. And I was able to bring some friends, which was really sweet. So they're fantastic. But yeah, the first time it didn't work out, but that doesn't mean it may never work out. I just kept following up with them when the time was right.
Awesome. What camera software and tools do you use to create your content besides Canva and PDF and PowerPoint?
You definitely don't need a lot. Like, I'm sure we all have one of these. I work a lot with content creators like on the road, and it's just like for my corporate job, and like they're all professionals just with an iPhone, especially for short form video content. So that's what I use to make reels and like TikToks. I edit with an app called CapCut. It's how I edit my clips together. You can do transitions, you can add music. So a lot of brands are looking for video content. So I think learning the basics of video editing could really set you apart. That could be one of your offers, one of your unique selling propositions. So yeah, I use that. I do have a Canon Rebel T7, I think it is. It's a pretty basic DSLR. It was what I got started on. I just got the newer version of it when I upgraded. So I definitely highly recommend having a professional camera. But honestly, if you're looking to get into content creation, a lot of it nowadays is video, specifically short form video that you can film vertically. So with that, you just need a phone and CapCut, Splice, simple editing apps. You can just watch video on YouTube to learn how to use them, and then you'll be well on your way. So your overhead costs are really low. You can profit in the world of content creation, which is exciting.
Awesome. Okay, so to go back to our question on why businesses would comp you for something, what are you giving in return when working with large brands and stuff like that? What is your...
So it totally depends. The package is custom to what they're looking for at the time. So to go back to that Allegiant example where I explained what I was being given, and they actually did compensate too with a creator fee or cash, which is really nice, but it was quite a bit of work. It was 7 edited videos, short form videos. So that is 7 reels or TikToks that I made of the travel experience, showing my friends that they use on their channels. So I did not have to post anything. It's just I give them the licensing to use that. And then 15 edited images that they can also use all across their social channels, website, brochures, everything. So that was just like a pure content creation partnership. Any of you can do that. You don't need a following to do that. You just need to have a portfolio of some work that you've done and just like a few skills, and you can just create content for brands and get paid for that. Or I've worked with brands like a Pack Up and Go as a surprise travel agency. And for them, I had a contract of like pretty set deliverables, like 2 blog posts with these links posted to Pinterest, Instagram Reel and whatnot. That all had to get approved before I posted. So it really depends on the collaboration.
Okay, great. Do you recommend starting a new account on Instagram or Facebook, or just keeping what you've had before you started content creation?
Ooh, people really disagree on this one. I'll tell you what I did. So there's this theory that if you have a newer account, Instagram likes it more because you're adding more accounts, you're, spending time and money, if you will, on the app. So the algorithm will pick up your videos more. I don't know if that's true. My account I made in like 2013 when Instagram came out. It's been my personal account since the very, very beginning. At one point, it was flooded with college photos. I have archived a lot of those and have rebranded now that I'm trying to build a business out of it. But I would just take a look at what you are running with now. If you already have a solid following, even if it's friends and family, but it's a few hundred, might as well build off of that than starting from zero. Just think about your brand. If you're doing like a massive 180, you may need to start over. But my Instagram, although I used it throughout college, did have like all my study abroad photos on it and like family travel. So I just kind of converted it into a travel and lifestyle page instead of starting from scratch.
Awesome. Okay, last question. Do you have an agreement that clients sign, and did you get any legal counsel to help create it, like an IP release or a waiver?
I've never worked directly with a lawyer. I will say I've worked for an influencer manager who had his JD. So I learned a lot about the world of contracts, but I have not worked with them directly. But yeah, if you're doing client work, ideally you are agreeing to a contract with a retainer rate, which means you're paid the same amount every month for like 6 months. That's where the big bucks are. You don't want to just do hourly work here and there. Like ideally you lock them in. And the same goes for collaboration. So if you're working with brands, you should be signing a contract, especially if there's payment involved, just to, protect yourself. So I've never worked with a lawyer. I don't think that's necessary. I work with an accountant for taxes, but like I really don't think you need to work with a lawyer. I just think you need to make sure you're protecting yourself and your clients.
Okay, cool. And we're just can you help clarify one of our previous questions just a little bit further? In terms of, can you distinguish the difference between like pure content creation, influencer collab, like UGC, like what are the companies getting from you? Why does it benefit? So, and like which ones do you need a following for and which ones you can do without a following?
Okay, that's a really good question. So UGC is user generated content. It is content that you, a user of a product, is making. So if I'm trying to promote this water bottle, I would take a video of me drinking from this water bottle. That's content. And I wouldn't have to post that if I'm just sending it to them and they can use it on their website or their social media channels. That is content creation. You are creating a piece of content and giving permission to this company to use because they want real people using real products. Pretty sure that's literally a brand slogan. I forget which one. So yeah, you don't need a following for that. You just need to have a phone, some basic editing software, and be comfortable in front of a camera, maybe a little creativity, and you are well on your way with that. To get started with that, just start making little videos around your home, build a portfolio of examples. No one needs to know you weren't paid, just make videos again, make examples. That's that. And then the world of like influencing or sponsored content is where I'm actually posting about the brand on my own page so that my followers are seeing that, or subscribers, and converting ideally to a customer, like purchasing something or signing up for something. So it's a little bit different. That requires a following, or even if it's small, just like an engaged audience, versus the world of content creation. You can just license your work off to brands for them to post and use.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Alrighty, so we're going to wrap up tonight. Again, Nicole, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to share my screen briefly one last time, talk about the Nomadic Network. So before we go, there are some events coming up. So more online events on the 9th, learn how to become an English teaching assistant in Spain. A couple more next week. So sign up if you don't want to miss those. We have some in-person events coming up. I saw Leah said in the chat she is hosting the LA meetup. So if you are in LA, don't miss that. Our group tours, they're amazing. So go to the nomadicnetwork.com/tours to check out the really cool destinations. And lastly, the next book club is on April 5th. If you haven't read The Vagabond's Way, I do really recommend it. It's a great travel book and the author will be there. So it's a cool way to catch up. So once again, we really appreciate you all being here. Nicole, thank you so much for sharing so much value. Guys, be sure to follow her on her social media, and especially on Instagram. If you are interested in getting a copy of today's presentation, she'll be able to share that with you. And alrighty, hope to catch all of you sometime in the future, in person, online, wherever. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.